Hi everybody, and welcome back to Hex Token channel. So in this video we're going to look at a general introduction to money, stocks, shares, investments for beginners, and we're going to do that on TradingView. So hope you enjoy that. So welcome. We're going to have just take our time to walk through all these topics, and TradingView is a great place to do that. So hope you enjoy this one. Looking forward to your comments in the chat and other things like that. So let's get into it. So what we're going to do is we're just on TradingView. You can see the link in the description below. And this is introduction to money, stocks, shares, investments, things like bonds for beginners. And we're just going to take our time to walk through some of these things. So if you're new to this, join a board and hit that link. You can go to TradingView and you'll see this page. So let's get into it. So obviously Axion token is a certificate of deposit, and that makes it on the sort of in a mixed risk reward position. So obviously very safe investments, bank term deposits, savings accounts, check accounts. Those are the on the safe side, but you get in return you get a low reward. Axion's kind of in the middle, but has a lot more variability in the upside. So let's have a quick look. We're on TradingView at the moment. So it's tradingview.com, and we're just on the markets tab. Now on the top header here, you can see a lot of key products that are having their returns showed. So we've got the S&P 500 up here, so you may have heard about that. So the S&P 500 is obviously 500 companies, and S&P means Standard & Poor's, which is one of the big accounting firms, investment firms, and so that's what they've got there. So that's just showing that those 500 companies are up by 0.098%. Then it's got DXY. Uh, it's got then it's got, switches over from an index of stocks or companies, and it jumps over to the Euro USD. So it shows main trading pair for the US dollar. US dollar is a reserve currency of the world. That's will probably be the case for some time to come. There's obviously talk of the China's yuan taking over that at some stage, or maybe a global currency. But that's speculation and far further down the field of discovery. So we'll see. At the moment, the US dollar rules, and obviously that's why it shows up here. We've obviously got crude oil. Obviously, crude oil is used for most transport in the world, and also for a lot is basically in like 90% of products, although that is slowly decreasing with alternative chemistry and metals and materials being made in the lab, etc. So, but crude oil still is in something like 90% of all products made in the world. Then you've got obviously cryptocurrencies at the top here. You've got BTC, which is Bitcoin versus the US dollar, and at the moment you can see it's at 34,000, which is pretty healthy, and it's actually been quite stable up in this range for some time. And that's up 1.9%. You can see there, or 634 US dollars. So that's looking really good. And obviously you've got gold. Gold and Bitcoin are kind of related in some ways. Bitcoin is rare. Gold is relatively rare, and that's pretty much where people go to put their safe money. If they think that the US dollar is going to be worth not much and the gold will go up, they'll go and put their money in there, and that's called a hedging. Hedging is basically protecting the value of what you've got. So then we have silver, which is another complement and a bit more speculative play there. So you've got some of the key metrics up here on TradingView. And then obviously you've got tabs here, you've got ideas, and you've got markets, you've got scripts, you've got screeners, etc. You don't have to know about a lot of these things. The main one that we want to do is markets. Obviously, if you're after some investment ideas, you can go to ideas and have a look through different people. You've got authors, asset classes, trends, and all sorts of things that you can look at. But if we're looking at an introduction to money, stocks, shares, and investments, we're just going to go to the markets, and you can see that we've got cryptocurrencies. We've got, which Axion is one. Axion is cryptocurrency. We've got fiat currencies. So fiat currencies are basically currencies of the countries in the world, the nation states in the world. Then we have stocks, which are stocks or shares is another word you might use for stocks. And those are companies that issue ownership shares in their company, and they make revenue and they have expenses and they get net profit after that, and that net profit gets paid out to shareholders who own these stocks as dividends. and have a few other different types of remuneration they can give back to people that own those stocks. Then we have indices. So indices are groups of stocks or groups of currencies or other forms of indices which have different other makeups. Then we have futures, and futures are products that are predicting the future price in the future of a lot of these things. So agriculture, energy, currency. So agriculture might have things like wheat, corn, stuff like that, energy, obviously oil and other forms of energy, currencies, metals. So metals obviously needed in a lot of manufacturing, our world indices and interest rates. Interest rates, obviously bonds and government debt, things like that, corporate debt. And that's where you get up to these bonds as well. So bonds, there's different bonds around the world issued by different governments and different corporations and other institutions, and you can see those listed here. So those are all the main categories under these markets, and these are probably, apart from bonds, typically on the higher risk side. So as opposed to standard bank things like savings accounts and check accounts, standard term deposits and certificate deposits, which is sort of the safer bet, these are more in the medium to higher risk market, probably excluding bonds, which are on the safer side. So that sort of gives you a range of risk and reward, and that's a key concept to remember when you're having an introduction to investments generally. So bonds are pretty around for a long time. Most of these things have been around for a long time. Cryptocurrencies, on the other hand, are relatively new. So Bitcoin was the first crypto that was issued in 2008, 2009, and so there we are. That's that's the newest one. Obviously, that there is a major subset of digital currencies. So digital currencies, anything that's made online, that's digital. You could say that that's the case. So and obviously normal fiat currencies. So fiat currencies, remember, are currencies from the countries. So after that sort of introduction general thing, we'll just have a quick look at the actual details of some of these markets. And so we're going to actually go to we're going to start off with currencies. So these are currencies or fiat currencies of companies, and you can actually trade these on the market. So and on TradingView. So let's go to majors. We're going to have a look at some of the majors of currencies. And here we are, we've got the majors. These are what the terminology is in the marketplace. Let's have a look. We've got 7 of them. Euro, US dollar. We've got US Japanese yen. We've got the Great British Pound. So you actually just hover over these, you can actually see the names of them. We've got the Great British Pound. Obviously the US and Britain are in the top 5 economies, top 6 economies. Obviously US is number 1. We've got Australian USD. Obviously Australia is a big mining country, so that's why that's in there. It's reflective of the world's manufacturing. We've got US dollars Canadian. Obviously these are very Western focused apart from Japan. We've got USD Swiss franc and New Zealand USD. Now New Zealand obviously is the country I'm from. It's obviously very small and that's also used as a major. So that's an interesting one, that one. So you might ask why. So we'll have a look at that a bit later. So you can obviously, it's got on here, they have you the last price, what the current price is. So then they have the percentage change, okay, and they have the absolute change. So this is a percentage change in the price. This is the actual amount of the price change. They have a bid and an ask. So bid is what people are wanting to buy it for, or the highest price they're willing to pay, and the ask is what the sellers who own it are willing to sell, and the market price is in the middle there, gets made in the middle between these two. Then you have the high price for the day and the low price, and then you have here as a subjective rating about whether buying or selling. So let's go on the Euro US dollar, which is the main one, and we'll pull that up. So we're just going to click on it, and it's going to pull that whole thing up for us. Now you can actually follow it on TradingView. You can trade now. So there's a trade now button if you're interested in that. Obviously you'll need to bring in US dollars or whatever you're going to use to buy that. So you either need Euro or US dollars to trade this one because you need one side of the pair. All right, so this is Euro versus US dollars, and we've got 1.21118 US. Okay, so Euro is worth more than US dollar, and here we are. We've got, let's have a look at the chart. So we can see that this chart is showing a particular marketplace and that's the price on that marketplace for it. There's other marketplaces here, as you can see. So this is FXCM, and you can see their chart showing the price at this, what the price is at the moment. So 1.21 euro to USD. So this is showing the months here. You can actually select the period that you want. So we can do just the last day. We can click 1 day. And this is showing, look, down to hours now, showing the last 24 hours. You can see that it's been, it was actually down lower at 1.2, and then what we call pumped or rose or risen or increased to 1.21, and it's sort of just starting to come back. But let's take a bigger horizon. Let's look at the last month, and we can just see that the US dollar, euro US dollar rate has actually decreased. Okay, so the euro has fallen against the US dollar. Let's have a look at the last year. We can see over the last year the euro has increased versus US dollar, so it's strengthened, what we call strengthening, and it's become stronger. And then we can have a look at the last all. Let's have a look at all, for example. This is going to go back very far. So this, how far back does this particular market go here on this one? Is it goes back to 1st of June 1993. And we can see that it's been all over the place. I mean, it's been as low as 0.84, so weaker than the US dollar. And then as soon as it passes 1 to 1 would mean that they're both evenly valued. And then so that most of the time the euro's been more valuable over the US dollar, and we've seen this ratio go. Then below you've got some ideas and some technicals. At the moment it's saying sell. The most here it's got a little profile. The most traded currencies appears in the world are called the majors, and the euro USD dollar leads this group as the most traded pair in the world. So there we are. So if you didn't know that, you've learnt that now. This pair represents the world's two largest economies and has faced most volatile since the inception of the euro in 1999. So the euro obviously reflects the European Union, which is a collective of countries. It's got France in it, Germany, and a whole other range of countries in it, versus the US. And obviously US is the biggest economy in the world. Obviously China is rising versus that. That's all impact how currencies trade over time, as well as their manufacturing productivity and a lot of other economic indicators which will affect that. Financial trade flow is obviously very important as well. So there's some related symbols that you can check out if you want to learn more about that. There's obviously on TradingView, there are people that trade all the time, and you can go see these top authors and you can follow them. You can get ideas about trading. Here's one here, Euro bear flag. So bear flags, flag will fall, so it's saying sell. And you can see the patterns that they've got here. That's what their opinion is based on their knowledge, and they're saying that's a sell at the moment. So pretty neat. You can do that on TradingView. It's a pretty great site. You can even go to fully featured, but before we do that, you can actually go to other sub-markets which are also tracking, and you can add them on, and you can see that they've got pretty similar patterns that is trading on different marketplaces. So we'll go to full featured chart. Before we do that, we'll go to ideas. So if you want to get ideas on trading, you can go to get them off these traders. Obviously, you've got to know whether they're good traders or not, whether they have good successes, whether they know what they're talking about, or whether they're just amateurs that really don't have much experience, haven't made much profit, etc. Then there are the technicals that you can see on overview. We're just still looking at the euro dollar, euro versus US dollar, and you can get technicals on different time horizons, and whether it's telling you quick summary based on standard technicals to buy or sell. So it's got oscillators and moving averages. Moving averages are pretty common. And so you can see all these different indicators. These are what they call TA or technical indicators, and they allow you to try and get a good idea whether it's a buy or sell. So you can see in the moving averages based on the 1 day, they have got all these indicators saying sell, 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 but this indicator, exponential moving average, exponential means that it's actually taking into more data of the last data rather than an average. Like simple averages is just average over the day, a day count over so many days, whereas the exponential average taking the most recent prices and weighting those up. So you get these different indicators like this. This one's saying buy, these other ones are saying buy, etc. It's got 100-day, 50-day, etc. So you can see the amount of days that are taken into that count for the average, and obviously it needs a whole data series to make that calculation. So these are where technical analysis comes in, TA. So basically there's just two basic analysis. There's fundamental analysis. What's the actual happening in the euro fundamentally versus US dollar fundamentally. That's to do with the economy, would do with financial flows, investment, that sort of thing. And then there's TA. What's actually the chart telling you? What's the chart telling you? And all these indicators look at the chart data and try to give you an idea. Most of them are data based on the past, but some of them may include future mathematics as well to predict what's going to happen in the future. So there's some things that go on in TA, but that's basically it. People, when they're trading, will do that either fundamental analysis and or a technical analysis to make trades. They'll also change the different time periods that they trade. So it might be 1 day, it might be 1 week, and there's different names for that. So swing trade might be a couple of days, and then you can spot trade would be, trading every hour, 5 minutes. So that would be short-term trading. So that was the Euro US dollar, and let's go back to the overview. We'll just finish up on this one, and we would have wrapped up on this here, and then we'll go to full featured chart. So it's going to open up a new tab for us and open that up. So we'll just have a check that out. It's got the euro at the top here. Now I've got a lot of other defaults in here, so I'll just turn those off. Obviously I had the accent on the chart there, so we're going to turn that off. So it's just the price, bigger price, and you can add in different indicators. So some of those ones we talked about earlier that tell you whether buy or sell, you can add those in. They won't tell you whether buy or sell though, they'll just add the indicator itself. You can look at financials if there are some, and so things like that. You can also compare them to other currencies or whatever you want to do. So you can just click on that, search for it, and you can add in other things that you think might look really useful. So you might, as the US dollar euro, you could add in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is a group of industrials, and that would add that too as well. And you get a percentage on the side. So we'll just click out of that and we'll go back to the main channel. So we're going to be back to markets. So we were looking at currencies, we're looking at majors. We're going to not quite finish there with the majors at the moment. And this is in the foreign exchange market. There are also minors. So minors, we're going to check those out. So these are currency pairs that don't include the US dollar, all right? So whereas the major did, so major currencies are based on the list of popular currencies that appeared with the US dollar, because the US dollar, as I said, is the reserve or central currency of the world at the moment, has been for a long time. The basket of major currencies consists of 7 pairs only, so that's where they were. So we're going to go back to minor and check out some minors now. And so you can see we've got pairs or cross rates between other currencies. We've got the euro versus the pound. So even though we've got the euro versus Australia, etc., so we've got all the euros, we've got the Great British Pound versus a whole different range of currencies, Japanese yen, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, all these different ones, New Zealand dollar versus Canadian, and so you've got all these minor pairs. Then we've got the exotic. So this is all the categories. So it's a good thing to learn a lot of these terms as you go. So we've got the exotic, we've got US dollar versus Brazilian real. So you can learn all the names as well. You've got the US dollar versus offshore Chinese yuan, which is there as well. US dollar versus the Czech koruna. So you can learn all the different names. Danish krona, Hong Kong dollar. You've got all these different ones. What's this one here? Hungarian forint. So these are all the different currencies of these countries, and you've got all these different pairs that you can actually trade. Isn't that fantastic? So you've got all this data, the bid and ask, and high and low. All you have to do is click on one of these. So we're going to click on the US dollar Brazil. And if you wanted to follow this, you can click follow. If you want to put an alarm about whether it reaches a certain price, you can put that in. Or you can just trade now, and you click on the trade now button. So we'll look at that in another video. So we've got the overview, ideas, and technicals. Pretty much the same for the US dollar. Has all the same setup. We've got people's opinions on what's going to happen, and you can follow those people if you want to get learned a lot faster. It's a good way of learning fast. But you just have to be careful that you're following the best people, and they do have rankings and community votes on those as well. So let's go back to currencies again. So exotics, and then the rest of them we got them by region of the world. So Americas, Europe, Asia, Pacific, Middle East, Africa, and we have cross rates and a heat map and currency indices. So these are all quite niche stuff down the bottom. So let's have a quick look at the Middle East just for a bit of fun and see what currencies are there. So I haven't actually clicked on this tab before, so it's going to be a bit of fun. So we've got the US dollar versus the Turkish lira. So if you're into trading that, if you know a lot about Turkey and maybe that's something you want to do, you've got UAE, we've got Bahrain, we've got Egyptian pound, what else? We've got Israel shekel, we've got the Iraqi dinar, Jordanian dinar. So if you have a lot of information about what you think is going to move the currencies for these ones, you can actually trade those versus the US dollar. So pretty neat. It already has some default rankings on there based on some details, so you need to check what those are out. So I think that's a pretty cool. Then at the end, we've got currency indices. So these will be a basket of currencies. So currency indices are designed to measure changes in the value of a currency. They do that by tracking the exchange rates of currencies that have the highest liquidity on the market, the US dollar. So liquidity means that there's a lot of trading and a lot of volume trading it. The US dollar index is the most popular and commonly traded currency index. It's widely recognized as the benchmark for the global. The benchmark means the one that everyone compares it against, the global value of the US dollar. So you can see the DXY there, the US dollar currency index, that's the main one here. You can see it's actually got a buy rating on it. The last price was 90.631. And then you've got other ones here. You've got the Euro currency index, etc. So you can learn all those too. There's even one for New Zealand and Australia, which obviously in the southern part of the world where I am. And let's go for the DXY one and have a check this out. Obviously it's got the biggest liquidity, meaning the biggest volume being traded through there. And let's have a look at that. So that's actually on the decline lately. And here it goes here. The US dollar index tracks the strength of the dollar against a basket of major currencies. So that's what we mean by an index, that it's got a basket of currencies it's trading against. So it'll be the US dollar against maybe a couple others. So let's have a look at what they are. Euro, Japanese yen, the pound, Canadian dollar, Swedish krona, and the Swiss franc. And here are the weightings that they're weighted against. So US is going up or down versus these. So pretty neat. And you can see people making commentaries and the ideas there. So I think that looks pretty good. And obviously there's some ideas for where that's heading here. And obviously you can also get a full feature chart as well, which you can add in a lot of different indicators and different stuff like that. But there's a basic price there. If we put in there all, we'll see where that's been going. So that's up at 90. So US dollar is actually strengthened against these basket of currencies over here. If it's going down this way, that means that it's weakening against the basket of currencies. So pretty neat. All right, so those are the currencies, and I think that's a good introduction, as this is a introduction video. Let's have a look at stocks next. So we're going to come back to cryptocurrencies later, which is what Axiom token is, but we're going to go to stocks first, and we're going to have a look at large cap stocks. So there are lots of different stock markets around the world, not just one. So some famous ones in New York Stock Exchange, Chicago Options Exchange, lots of different places like that. So here's the large cap. So obviously we're going to have some famous names here, household names that you're going to be familiar with, and I think you might enjoy this. So we've got Apple, we've got Microsoft. These are the top, very top. So we've got the last price of these, so $137 US for Apple share. So if you had $137, you could get one Apple share. That's US dollars. It's got the percentage change. It's been down 3.5%. Presumably this will be 24 hours. The change is down $4.97, but it's a strong buy. And not surprising, of it being Apple, which sort of dominates its marketplace. You've got volume, 142.6 million US dollars in volume trade in the last 24 hours. You got market cap is a 2,300 billion, so 2.3 trillion market from based on this. You got a price to earnings ratio. That's what this is. So it's the price of the stock, which we know is $137, versus the earnings that the company is making, and it's 38.4. So, and then we've got the earning per share. Okay, so that's the earnings per share, which we don't have shown here, times the share price, which is 137. So that's 3.4. So the earnings is 3.7 times bigger than the price. So let's have a look at Microsoft. We've got Microsoft below here, 238.93. So that's still doing a lot of corporate products. We've got Amazon, obviously doing a lot of retail products, and that's got a its price is $3,237 per share. So just one share is going to cost you $3,237, and so forth. We've got Google, or otherwise known as Alphabet Incorporated. That's $1,863 per share. And then we've got another Google one here as well, Class A. It's probably a break-off equity raise, 1,853. Then we have Tesla. Now Tesla's obviously been a huge star. Tesla's been a massive star, $835 per share. Let's have a look at the market cap, $791 billion market cap, and a huge value, 26.3 million in volume there. So pretty neat. And look at the price to earnings ratio. So price 1726. I mean, look at it, stands out like a sore thumb. So pretty crazy per earnings. So that's how much bigger the price is than earnings. Obviously, Tesla's still a relative startup. It's going to take them probably 10 years to get fully set up, but they'll have a lot of market dominance. And obviously, product innovation is what they're well known for, and leading the electric cars. So that's going to be pretty huge. And earnings per share is a 0.57 compared to these other big behemoths. So look at the Google, Amazon. That's quite solid results. So these are quite interesting metrics, and you need to learn these in terms of fundamental analysis. So then we got Facebook. So Facebook is obviously huge, social network company. It's down 2.62, $7.14, and it's got a sell rating on it at the moment. And obviously these are a bit controversial now, these big tech social networks. So they're probably having a little bit of volatility there. Baba, you got Alibaba, which is obviously the Chinese one, used around the world in a lot of devices, computers, etc. So then you got Berkshire Hathaway. So this is the most famous investor in the world's company, Berkshire A and B. Look at the price of this one. So Berkshire Hathaway A, $348,220 per share. Per share. That's $348,220 per share for Berkshire Hathaway share. So that's run by Warren Buffett, who's the most famous investor in history, and look at those prices for that. So that's up 1.39% too, so up $4,770 in the last 24 hours, so pretty amazing. It has a market cap of 544 billion. So market cap is all the shares times the price, and so that's how you get to the market cap. So pretty amazing. Then we have companies like Visa, Johnson & Johnson, Walmart, etc. NVIDIA, which is obviously graphic cards for computers, and you just keep going. All these big names: Walt Disney, Home Depot, PayPal, Bank of America, Netflix, Comcast. I mean, all these big names that you'll be familiar with. Intel, which is piece processing chips. So all the stuff. Nike. The list just goes on with famous names. So those are the large caps. And market capitalization shows the value of a corporation by multiplying the stock price times the number of stocks outstanding or shares outstanding, which is what I said. So companies are sorted according to their market cap, and that's how that's been sorted down there. So you can see that Apple, Microsoft, Amazon are the top three. So top gainers, you can just click on this. It will already calculate the top gainers for you. It will tell you the percentage, like this company here, New Concept Energy. The last price was $25 US. And in the last 24 hours, it's gained 960%, which is outstanding if you were lucky if you were in that. And the change is $22.64. So basically, that may have just launched. It may have come out with a new technology. You just don't know. It's still got a strong buy rating on it. Whether that still holds up is another question, because it may have petered out its momentum. The volume is 95 million. And the market cap is 128 million. So you can actually click on these to look at them further. So we're actually going to go to, we've got the top losers. We're going to look at that. So it already calculates top losers for you. And it gives you a little description as well. You've got the most active. Okay, so let's check out what the most active is. So obviously, let's have a look at the stocks that have been traded the most, US stock market. So these are the ones that have probably got the biggest volume that have been traded. And then you've got the most volatile, in other words, the price is going up and down erratically. You've got those ones here. Those are good for traders. People like to trade volatile stocks where prices are going up and down in a funny pattern. So new concept energy, let's have a look at that. So that's the one that we saw was the biggest gainer as well. So we're going to click on this individual one. And you can obviously follow that. You can trade it if you want. So new concept energy. So that may have a new technology in it. So let's have a look here. It was just petering around $1 or so, and suddenly it's just jumped from $2.43 to $25. So what caused that? That's fundamental analysis, right? Not technical analysis, it's fundamental analysis. Something fundamental changed in the company so to make that happen. Now, is there something obvious here that shows us? There's nothing obvious here, so you would have to go and get some ideas and see whether they were commenting there about why this suddenly jumped. So yeah, there's nothing there. You'd actually have to go online and maybe Google it and have a look. So let's have a look here. Still got strong buy. These are the technical analysis, but we're looking at fundamentals. So we have to find out why that suddenly jumped. Was it some new products, a new capitalization? People were funding it. What was going on there? So it may just die down too. That may just be a blip, and it may just drop right back down. So you're just going to need to find out why that happened. So let's continue on stocks. So we've got overbought stocks, oversold stocks. So these are just different categories. Really, the large caps, top gainers and losers, where most people will stay, maybe most active and volatile if you're trading a lot. But those are short-term trades that you're doing. You've got all-time high, all-time low, high dividends. So if you're after just stocks with dividends, you can go to high dividend. Let's click on that. So here we are. We've got all these stacks of apartment and investment management. Well, that's typical. Property is a good way of earning a good dividend. We've got other ones here, transport company. We've got some sort of banking fund, Credit Suisse, all these sort of things probably have a lot of fixed interest rate products like bonds or property bonds, those sort of things, term deposits. And you can see performance, valuation, dividends. So you can see all the different fundamental analysis behind them and their financials as well, income statements and things like that. So if we had a look at the performance, you can check that out. It'll tell you what the performance is. The valuation, it will give you all the valuation metrics. These are just based on its revenues and things like that. Then there's these financial ones which are often used by investment banks and stuff like that, and investors. They want to know the EV to EBITDA. So the EBITDA is just the cash flow income of the company, and the enterprise value is just the value of the stocks. So you got the enterprise value here, another version of it, and then you've got other earnings metrics here, EPS and EPS diluted. Then you have the shares that are outstanding at the moment, so they're in this column. And so those are some of the key things. You've also got direct income statements. There's so much information here. So you've got the revenue that company makes in a year and stuff like that. Annual revenue, 63 billion for this one, Lloyd's Banking Group, which is obviously famous one. You've got balance sheet. So the income is how much they make. A balance sheet is what they own. And so it's got the assets, it's got the debts, and it's got the current assets over there. So it's got a lot of these accounting metrics that you would have. So this give you some fundamental analysis, but they don't give you the reasons why a company's going up or down. Are they doing good products? Are they making big sales? So you need to go dig deeper if you want to use fundamental analysis to invest more longer term. So those are the markets for those. And then we had one last category to look at for stocks. We had sector and industry. So if you like a particular sector, maybe telecommunications, maybe waterworks or whatever, maybe energy, mining, finance, you like a particular. So these will categorize or group companies under these categories. So you've got all these different parts of the economy: technology, services, transportation, retail, trade. So let's have a quick look at one of these. Maybe we'll go to let's go to retail trade and have a look at that. So retail sector, it's got 163 stocks in it. The market cap of all these 163 is 4.8 trillion basically, 4,865 billion. And it gives you the volume, the percentage change, and performance of this particular sector. Okay, so it's got all the companies that are in this group, a lot of specialty stores, lots of, I'm just seeing if there's many big names. There probably maybe some that you know, Alibaba Group, stuff like that. That's in there. Discount stores, and depending if you're a lot of these, if they're American, you might have to be in America to be familiar with them. Then you've got industries. So within that, you have the different industries within the retail, and that gives you different breakdowns. So you want this goes to the next level further. So we had retail trade, and then we've got industries within the retail trade. So we've got food retail, we've got internet retail. So you may think that a lot of these ones are not doing very well, but you think maybe internet retail will do really well, and you can do a deep dive on that, and it will open up another box, and it helps you to really filter out the target companies that you're after, and it gives you all the usual stuff that you want: last price, the changes in that market, a rating on TradingView, and the market cap, etc. Remember, the market cap's sort of the market value of the shares that are on play. So that's a wrap up of stocks, and obviously if you want to buy any of them, you can obviously click on Amazon, for example, and you can click trade now. If you want to follow it and see what's happening with it, click follow, and you can do that. So if we went on all, we can see that Amazon just continued to rocket. It used to be worth 23 bucks. Now it's worth $3,200, so it's a pretty incredible return. You can actually look at the full featured chart to see what percentage return that is, stuff like that. And you can trade it. If you want to buy and sell it, you can do that too by just clicking the trade button. So that's pretty easy to do. And so we've covered currencies. We've got the major and minors, exotics, right? Or we can look at currencies by the region that they're in. We've got stocks, we've got large caps, and then we can either look at the ones that are top or gainers or losers. Sometimes the losers are the ones that you might want to buy because they may have oversold, and you can pick up some real good deals. So when the price rebounds or goes back up, you make a lot of money on it. We've got most active and volatile. A lot of traders like this because the price is moving up and down. They can buy and sell the highs and lows, play the pattern trends. Overbought and oversold, so that's once again overbought and oversold offer some opportunities to either buy or sell. So you in stocks and stuff, you can not only just buy stuff, but you can actually sell stuff, which means you can short them, and a lot of that's called margin trading, and you can do that. There's other products too, like options and all sorts of things, futures, that you can do to different things with to make money. So we've talked about currencies and stocks. Indices, we've obviously covered that briefly in currencies, but you've got major world indices, US indices, Standard & Poor's, remember that's S&P, sectors, currency indices. So we've actually looked at these before, but we'll have a quick browse in there. We'll have a look at major world indices, and these are the ones that you've got. So there'll be a mixed bag of things in here. You've got the SPX, okay, or S&P 500. So these are ones you might want to get to know quite well. You've got the DJI, or Dow Jones Industrial Average. So it includes a whole ton of companies in it. We'll quickly check on that. So this is one of the better ones to know. And it has a whole ton of industrials in it. Just I thought it might have a better description on there. So it's currently worth 30. Well, the index is it's $30,600 US. It's up $300 or 1%. And so that's the index there. And just seeing what thought that might actually have a bit more detail. Let's have a look at components. It's probably got the detail that we need. So Dow Jones Industrial Average can be found in the table below. Sort the DJI stock components with various financial metrics. So this has all the components of the Dow Jones Industrial Index. Obviously got Apple on there, Boeing. There's all the companies that are in it. I think it's the top 30 industrials. Yeah, so 30 matches. So there's 30 matches in DJI. There is another index that has 300, so I wasn't sure which one that was. But DJI has got 30 top industrial companies in there, or corporate or companies in there, like not just industrial, because you've got Apple and places like that, but Boeing, Walt Disney, it's got all these top companies in there, and that's the top 30. So it's a good one to know. So let's have a look back at. I think we're on this one. We'll close out of that one, and we'll just go back on this page. Go back to indices. All right, so we've looked at the S&P 500, the Dow Jones. So on the news, when you're watching in the news, these are the ones that will probably come up all the time is the S&P 500. So obviously 500 companies in that. The Dow Jones, the top 30 companies in that, or a selected group of top 30 companies. You've got the volatility S&P 500, the VIX. This is a very common come up. So it's got a lot of volatility index in there. Let's have a quick look at that. So these are typically three of the big ones that will often be quoted on news, business news, maybe on CNBC, stuff like that, and you can get a lot of details. So the VIX is a traded market ticker symbol for the Chicago Board of Exchange, so that's what the CBOE means, Volatility Index, a popular measure of the implied volatility. So volatility is what traders like, obviously, when the price goes up and down. Of the S&P 500 index options. Okay, so you have option to buy or sell stuff. VIX is calculated by the Chicago Board Options Exchange, often referred to as the fear index. So that's a bit funny. So obviously prices move up and down, and people that are new to investments are like, oh, what do I do? I buy or sell? And professional traders like volatility. They like the buy the up and down the price. So they're far less fearful. But for people that are new to this is really the fear index for the whole market. So the top 500 companies or whatever the number of companies that have been chosen for it will have a volatility index, and there's a fear index or fear gauge. The VIX represents one measure of the market's expectation of the stock market volatility over the next 30-day period. So you can see that. Then there's lots of news here on that topic. Major US index end higher, there's all this sort of stuff. So I'll be talking about all these things here. So you can actually see it's actually reduced down. So 13th of March, it was quite high. Let's have a look in the year to date. So it's actually jumped in the year to date. So there's obviously a bit more fear about the markets. Markets have been performing so well. You've got someone here with a commentary about this, FIX exploding, morning all, a short post, and so they give you a lot of details. Particularly if they've been following that index, they'll actually be quite good. So we're going to jump back to these indexes. These are the major world indexes that we've been looking at. So those are probably the two most well-known out of there. I'm just having a look through to see whether there's other ones that are as famous, but those three are really the big famous ones that I can see on here. Once again, you can jump through, but these are the big three indexes: S&P/X, the DJI, and the VIX. There's a NASDAQ composite one. Obviously, there's probably in rank of order, so pretty interesting. So we've got US indices. Let's quickly look at that, focus on that. That will obviously have the ones we've just covered. SPX, it's got a few others, the MID. And so obviously the longer that you spend time around these, the more you know. It's got obviously got DJI that we talked about, the VIX as well. But a few of these others will be of some importance. And then we have S&P sectors, so this is Standard & Poor's, which as I said is a big accounting investment company. And they have all their indices as well in there. And then you've got currency indices, which we've briefly covered previously under currencies and so forth. So you can see all those indexes there. So yeah, currency indexes are designed to measure changes in the value of the currency. They do that by tracking the exchange rates of currencies that have the highest liquidity on the market. The US dollar is the most popular one, and so it's got nice explanations there. Obviously, you can join up to TradeView. You can use the 30-day free trial, and you can join up and get all the features that they have. Great ideas, so it's pretty neat. All right, so we're going to jump through to the futures market, and this is really interesting. We've got agriculture, we've got energy, we've got currencies, we've got metals, we've got world indices, and we've got interest rates. So this is going to really open up some new stuff. We're going to have a quick look at the agriculture and see what they've got on there at the moment. So futures market, let's have a quick look at that. So agricultural futures quotes, we'll just click on all at the moment and we'll go. So a futures contract is a legal agreement between a buyer and a seller to either buy or sell an asset at a predetermined future date and price, okay? That's the key word there, future date and price. The duration of the contract may vary depending on the underlying asset. For example, commodity futures, that is, are traded within 3 months, while interest rate futures are traded within 30 days only. So there's some key differences there. The prices of stock futures and currency futures may differ from prices of their underlying value assets and can be either higher or lower. These prices reflect the market sentiment and the general attitude of traders, investors towards a specific stock or currency. In the table below, you may sort the futures by price, change percentage, and other parameters. So that's pretty interesting. So what happens is that these are expectations of future prices, and so you are speculating on what that will be compared to the other products that we've looked at, which are today's prices. That people are trading today's prices. So this is really trading for the future prices. And you can see all the different prices. You've got corn, sugar, live cattle futures. There's a whole ton of stuff. Soya beans, which is well known. Soybean futures, wheat futures, corn futures. So there's all these things that you can look at. Let's have a look at let's have a look at rice futures, shall we? We'll have a look at that. So we're going to have a briefly look at rice futures. Obviously, the price is $13.41 for rice futures. Obviously, you can click trade if you want to get into that. There's a very niche specialty item. If you're not familiar, this is typically most people will be trading commodities and foreign exchange and now cryptocurrencies. So this is a bit more niche around doing actual agricultural products. So you can see it's got technicals, sort of got a buy on there at the moment. It's got some news about certain things, so there's a bit of mixed bag news. You got ideas, technicals, and contracts. So that's how that works. And obviously you can broaden out the data. So if we looked at all the data series, you can see the price has kind of been rising for the futures for rice. So there's a bit of expectation that maybe there's less supply of rice around, and the price is going up because of that. So lots of features like that to look at. All right, so that was futures, and we've got agriculture. We just looked at that. Energy, currency futures, and metals, world indices, and interest rates. There's lots of different options that you can choose. Take your slices if you like. If you're interested in currencies, you think the future price is going to fall of the US dollar. Let's have a quick look at that. So currency future contract is obviously the same explanation as we previously saw, is to either buy or sell a specific currency at a predetermined future date and price, and that's really the key there. So that's really the key understanding of futures. And so here we've got these different, we've got the Australian futures, the British pound, Canadian dollar, etc. So let's have a look at my country, New Zealand. We'll have a quick look at that one. So New Zealand dollar futures, continuous currency contract in front, and so here's the price. It's obviously expecting it to be 71.72. That's the price is at the moment. So you can see that up top here. It's down just slightly. It's got contracts. Let's have a look at that tab. So some of the contracts that you can do. So you got March 21, June 2021, September 21, December 21, March 22. So this is in the future, you can obviously see. So these are future contracts. So let's put the expiration date on there. So it's when it will expire respectively. So this one's the 15th of March, 14th of June, 13th of September, because these are all future days. And you're speculating against what the price will be versus today's or the price in the future. You're setting a price today, expectation, and what the price in the future will be. And that's sort of how those works, and you'll make a profit between the difference. So those are futures, and they're more of a niche specialty. You need to get used to those. There's obviously energy you can do. We'll have last look at metals, world indices, and interest rates. Let's look at energy. And so this is the same idea. So you're either going to buy or sell one of the fossil fuel or products, okay, related to them at a predetermined future date and price. All right. So futures contracts are often used by investors to reduce their exposure to price fluctuations on underlying asset. So people use it to do hedges as well as speculating. So hedges to protect value, and speculating is to try and make profit, speculating that the price will go up or down versus your expectations. The majority of energy futures are traded on the New York Mercantile Exchange, which is a part of the CM group that specializes in energy commodities. So you've got light crude oil futures, ethanol, what else you got? Natural gas, stuff like that. So obviously the US President Biden has shut down oil pipes and is basically probably going to force a lot of US imports, as being US had moved to self-sufficiency in oil under the Trump administration. but now with the pipeline shut down, a lot of Canadian oil will likely go to Chinese exchange refineries, and so a lot of these will be probably moving up or down in relation to that, and may have not priced that in yet or not. So these are some opportunities that you can say, well, how bad is that policy going to be, and what's it going to do to prices, and you could then speculate on what that might be. So that's how you can do it. So yeah, pretty neat. Let's go to futures. So this is world indices and interest rates. So you can check those out, and metals as well. Obviously the link to TradingView is below. Bonds, and we've got bonds. So these are the most conservative factors generally. So we're going to look at the majors, the 10-year bonds. These are long-term bonds. So you've got governments and big corporations buying these. Excuse me. You've got investment houses as well. And so these are the biggest ones. So we've got all available 10-year bonds on a single page and made it possible to see the most popular debt instruments is. So a lot of the stuff we're looking at was either currencies or equity or energy or minerals, those sort of things, agriculture. But now we're looking at debt bonds, so 10-year bonds. So it's very long term. For example, the US-backed 10-year Treasury note provides the benchmark interest rates that are used by many financial institutions to set their own rates. So this is pretty major, and understanding that. So we've got the US 10-year rate. So that's the big one. Obviously, we've got other governments, German government, UK, Canadian, France, Spain, Italy, Japan, India, Australia, Netherlands, New Zealand, and Portugal. So 10 years is an extremely long time. We've got the coupon rate, and we've got the maturity date, the yield. So you can very low yields, as you can see, and we've got the change in percentage and price of that. We've got the highs and lows, and we've got a buy, we've got a rating that from TradingView on these as a starting point. So it says that New Zealand government bonds yields is actually a strong buy, so that's my country. Coupon is 1.5%. It's kind of like the interest rate. So let's have a look at the US dollar government bonds 10-year rate. So this is the major one to know. It may not necessarily be the one that you want to invest in if you're into these. I'm not sure what the actual buy that you can actually trade this now. So you can speculate on where it's heading. This is more niche market, so you want to be more experienced if you're going to head into bonds. It's actually surprisingly counterintuitive in that regard. But once again, the price goes up or down, so you can take positions. There's one comment person here. I'm not going to sell everything short yet, but historically, when the 55-200 weekly cross bullish on the 10-year, 2-year bond yields, this signals a crash. Of course, we have been moving up since this cross, but the market is looking shaky. So that's a view that was made 15th of January. So it's a few days back. Crash indicator nil. So that's on the US 10-year versus US 2-year. So interesting stuff there. If we have a look at all on this on the US chart, we can see that it's just been declining. The rates have just been declining almost non-stop. So pretty funny that, and I'm not sure whether that's just linked to inflation generally or what, but that's pretty much the case. Ideas, we've got the US government bond 10-year ideas here. So we've only got one person commenting there, and we've got technicals. So look at those. So we've got technicals, we've got the overall summary as buy on a 1 day. We've got oscillators, moving averages. That's buy as well, moving averages. So most of the indicators look like they're buying, indicating. So that's pretty interesting. Well, once again, you can follow that or you can trade now. If you haven't tried a TradingView, and this is one of the best charting places on the internet, then you can join up this upgrade for a free trial, and you can use it free, but there is upgrade for better features if you do upgrades, and you got a free 30-day trial, and then a paid service on top of that. So that's pretty much how that works. So we've covered off bonds pretty quickly. Bonds are sort of fixed interest stuff offered by governments, and we've had a look at those. So that's pretty much it. So hopefully we've covered that. We're just going to go up to the last topic, which is cryptocurrencies. And this is our favorite, of course, because Accent token is a cryptocurrency. And it's one of the few staking currencies with a share rate. And it's also going to be broadening out into mutual fund type offerings through what we call venture auctions, where you'll be able to, if you're staked, you'll be able to get wrap Bitcoin. And a whole other range of top altcoins or alternative cryptocurrencies, which will be provided in the auction. So that's coming up in probably mid-February. or earlier. We just don't know. Probably mid-February is a reasonable time frame to expectations. So it's another 2 weeks away. So in cryptocurrencies, we've got prices, we've got market cap charts, we've got obviously the big one. So in 2008-9, Bitcoin came out, and that really is the gold standard of crypto. It was founded by Satoshi, and he's a mysterious person, and his wallet has 1 million Bitcoin in it. There's currently about 13.5 million Bitcoin in circulation. There's 18.5 million that have been circulated, so let's have a quick look at that. Uh, so, uh, so here it is here. Bitcoin is the world's most traded cryptocurrency, as well as being the first, which represents a massive share of the cryptocurrency market. It was the first cryptocurrency that was introduced to the public and is therefore the most developed infrastructure. It is most considered to be a trendsetter in the cryptocurrency world. Well, I wouldn't call it the trendsetter, but in the sense of it was the first, it was. But actually, it's blockchain is quite old compared to a lot of cryptocurrencies these days. Phantasma is obviously a 3.0 blockchain. Bitcoin's really 1.0 with a few extras on it. So let's have a look. We've got Bitcoin, US dollars, and we've got all these different pairs, and they're all on different exchanges as well. So you can see all these different exchanges here. You've got most of these are US dollar. I've got different ones, US dollars. So trading there, and you've got different currencies. Here's the Bitcoin versus the pound. So currently, obviously, it's around about 34,000 US dollars per Bitcoin, and you can see the price change there, 625, so pretty big. You've got some performance indicators here. You've got the weekly, monthly, 3 monthly, so it gives you different time horizons. The performance of the monthly, it's actually down, but 3 monthly, 6 monthly, it's all up quite dramatically. So yearly up 270%, so volatility is 2.9%, and so you can sort of see that. Obviously, cryptocurrencies can be a lot more volatile. They can go for bull runs. So a bull run is basically when the price keeps going up, and a bear run is when the price keeps going down, although they can have ups and downs on the way. So that's pretty much it. Bitcoin at the moment is in a bull run after being in a bear market for probably 2 years. So it's a great time for people who have held Bitcoin. Let's quickly go back to the cryptocurrencies. So we've got other top ones, Ethereum. XRP is having some issues with the US government and the Securities Commission. Bitcoin Cash is what they call a fork of Bitcoin, meaning that it was forked off Bitcoin. You've got EOS and Stellar, Litecoin. Bitcoin SV, another fork of Bitcoin. You've got Tether, which is like a US dollar amount. So those are some of the top ones. And let's have a quick look at the prices. And we're going to get overall prices of all the cryptocurrencies. So this is your go-to page to see all the available cryptos. More than 200 of the coins are presented here. The default setting shows US dollars and sorts of cryptocurrency by market capitalization. Okay, so that's the number of tokens times the price in the market, which gives you that total market cap. So there we are. There's 700 matches on here. There's obviously thousands and thousands of cryptocurrencies in the world, but only the top couple hundred really have a lot of value. So you can see most of those on here. So you got Bitcoin, Ethereum. There are some more valuable cryptocurrencies that don't get ranked properly, but they get what they call blocked by the indices. So just take that into account. There are a few other good tokens around that don't represent on these charts. So we've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether is just US dollars, Polkadot, XRP, Cardano. So Cardano is interesting because it's a privacy coin, so that might actually have a lot of upside in the future, especially as governments and that try to crack down on Bitcoin and other things by pushing through regulations. So Cardano is going to be one interesting to watch. Chainlink, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Cash and stuff like that. Binance Coin is an exchange coin. It's the biggest exchange in the world. It's a centralized exchange. So it's the biggest one in the world, the biggest decentralized exchange. That means it's on the blockchain using is Uniswap. So you've got Binance is the biggest centralized exchange, or SEX they call it, and Uniswap is the biggest decentralized exchange, which is a DEX. So some of the terminology there. You've got US dollar coin, other US dollar coin. So these are people probably trade into US dollar coins like US dollar coin, or tether to protect the US dollar value of their cryptocurrency. So if the cryptocurrency goes down versus US dollars, then they will be able to buy back more of the tokens that they used to hold because they've still maintained the US dollar value, but the token that they held has gone down in US dollar value, so they can get more of them. So that's that happens a lot of times. You'll see trades happening in cryptocurrency, and that's what will be happening. If the price is going down, people will be selling back into these US dollar coins or the Tether coin, which are both US dollar backed, so they're backed by a real US dollar. So that's the way that works. Wrapped Bitcoin is typically on Ethereum, wrapped Bitcoin. So it's a way of putting Bitcoin on other protocols like Ethereum's protocol or blockchain and stuff like that. So you've got a few extra ones here. You've got their own networks like Tron, which is kind of like a faster Ethereum. However, it doesn't have the ecosystem, smart contracts and stuff like that on it that Ethereum does. Ethereum really is the biggest economy in cryptocurrency. And it has probably about 85% of most of the smart contract stuff. And Axion is actually on top of the Ethereum. Axion is a token on the Ethereum blockchain, which Ethereum is ranked number 2. So once again, you can actually trade these on centralized exchanges like Binance, or you can trade Ethereum-based ones on Uniswap. So you can see the Uniswap here is quite large, 4.2 billion market cap. And then there's a whole range of other cryptocurrencies. You've got Hex here, which is another staking token or certificate deposit. It is actually the first one, like Axion. Axion is in this group of tokens. Another one is Wise token. So there is these leading certificate deposit tokens around. There's only a couple of them that really have market influence: Wise token, Hex token, and Axion token. Probably the 3 leaders in the group, and have large communities and offer different services. They're not exactly the same. So that's worth learning about. Then we have a whole ton of other. We've got DeFi, so DeFi, decentralized finance, and in terms of the staking coins and other DeFi projects are really competing against banking. So a lot of banking products are being completely outdone by the crypto market. Crypto market offers completely superior features, and at the moment more volatility, and volatility actually has a lot of upside as well with the underlying price. But as more people enter the cryptocurrency space in the world, the volatility will go down and the prices will become more stable. So DeFi is doing that in the marketplace, and you see a lot of the top crypto companies now are doing that. So you can see based on here, a lot of these ones. You have a lot of tipping type of tokens, a basic attention token where you can tip people on social media, all sorts of stuff. You have file transfer ones like BitTorrent, where you can transfer files and hold files on your own computers in a decentralized way. So basically all these cryptocurrencies are decentralized on the blockchain. That means they're trustless in that sense. And you've got ones here like decentralized land as a 3D world where you've got a whole economy and a 3D world digital, and so you can see that they're doing well too. So there's a whole range of different top projects, but like I say, probably the top couple hundred are truly worth something in value, but there are probably 10,000 or more these days of cryptocurrencies. People can make them left, right, and center, so you really do need to start with these top cryptocurrencies and then maybe stretch out with your knowledge on a few more riskier options. But sometimes those risky options like Phantasma Chain have amazing technology. Their blockchain 3.0 technology they offer breakdownable NFTs or non-fungible tokens. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there, as you can see. So that's a quick opportunity there. You can obviously trade them on centralized exchanges or decentralized exchanges. KuCoin, Binance, Kraken exchanges, some of the bigger exchanges that you can trade cryptocurrencies on, and centralized exchange, decentralized exchanges of Uniswap and places like that. So you can do that. And yeah, so you can look at by prices, you can look at by market cap here as well. So there's lots of different categories where they look at them on cryptocurrencies. And obviously Axion is one of the leading offerings for certificate of deposits, meaning that you get a good fixed interest a year, plus you get a lot of upside, supercharged certificate of deposit that is. So I did a video on that yesterday where Axion also has auction market buyback, which also means that the Axion that's bought on the market gets given back to the people that have invested or staked their Axion tokens, so they get even more rewards. So it's huge volume upside on Axion as a passive income. Obviously, the underlying price of Axion goes up and down, so you just need to take that into account. But it offers a great opportunity. So I think that's a pretty good overview of a lot of the markets on and over tradingview.com, which is if you hit the link below this video description, you can get onto that and you can actually join up for special services as well. So pretty neat. And obviously the headline measures, but this is probably one of the most popular trading sites on the internet, and you can learn how to buy and sell financial products, learn up details about the financial products, get some great views or ideas from the editors, from authors, lots of different things like that. You can learn about TA or technical analysis, indicators like this, all sorts of technical stuff if you really want to get into the trading side of things. Of course, you don't have to. You can just maybe follow some popular authors that seem to do really well and edit the picks, but it's pretty neat. So I hope you enjoyed that and enjoyed this live stream. Please subscribe, like, share, hit the bell for the notifications. And once again, if you want to join TradingView, just hit the link below and you can join up and for free, or you can pay for the join up for the extra features with the paid service. I will catch you in the next one. We've got some more in this educational series, and look forward to catching you in the next one. Have a good day, everybody, and happy trading or investing. And do check out some of the videos on Axion on this channel, and look at that as a potential option for a place to invest even just a little bit of your portfolio and get some great returns. Okay.